given that, here are 3 possible ways for generating the form tag that, when submitted, would call the create new movie action. And the question is, which of these are valid ways to do it? And by the way these questions are phrased, clearly either exactly one of them is valid or all 3 of them are valid, right? The way that I wrote the question. So take a look at these for a moment. You can see that the top one is a call to a method, a Ruby method in Rails called form tag. And the other ones are really just the Haml equivalent of manually creating a form tag ourselves. So are these 3 all OK, or is exactly one of them OK? And I'll remind you, in case it's useful, very briefly, of what you want the result to look like. Okay, remember that from the browser's point of view, this is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter how you got here. It just matters that I know what method to use when I submit the movie form and what URI I have to submit it to. So let's do a quick initial vote on this one. Initial voting. Initial voting. People. Cards. If you have no arms, you don't have to lift up a card, but otherwise you do. OK, because most people who held up a card held up the right color. Next time, I'm going to have everybody hold up cards. But for this time, blue is the right answer. And I'm just going to walk through it quickly. What's going on with these 3? Well, taking a look at the raw versions of these, really, here we're just going to do a one-to-one mapping of a Haml tag to an HTML tag. And as you remember, when you do a Haml tag, any attributes that you pass in this Ruby hash essentially become the attributes of the HTML. So both number 2 and number 3 would match what we saw that we need to generate in terms of the HTML, right? And why is it that they would both match? Well, the only difference between them is, in one case, we use the URI helper movies path. In the other case, we hardwired the URI /movies. And if you did rake routes, you would see that the movies path helper is created to give you this path back. So why would you use the helper instead of hardwiring the path? Because as your app gets more complicated, you may include additional routes, and you may change the mapping of logical action names to the URIs that they connect to. Using this level of indirection, like movies path, allows you to redefine those without then going ahead and changing the 25 different views where that occurs. The only other difference between number 2 and number 3 is the use of a symbol versus a string. And as I mentioned much earlier, this is a Rubyism. In many cases, there are methods where you can pass either a symbol or a string. It gets converted to whatever is needed internally. This happens to be one of those methods. I also mentioned that the reason, or a main reason, that you would use a symbol rather than a string is to connote that the value is not arbitrary. It's one of an enumerable set. And in this case, indeed, the only legitimate values for method are the different HTTP methods, like get and post and put and so forth. So it's intent revealing to pass a symbol because it means this is one of a fixed number of possible values, as opposed to this is an arbitrary string. And then as far as the first choice here, form tag really just generates a form whose method is going to be built in as post and whose URI is based on the first argument to form tag. And again, we're using the movies path helper here. So for all practical purposes, these 3 are all the same. My view is the first one is the most intention revealing because it says what you're trying to do, and it uses the URI helpers rather than hardwiring a URI in place.